Hey everyone, today we're going to do something a little different. Let's forget about AI as just another tool. Instead, we're going to treat it like a brand new life form. We're about to perform a digital anatomy lesson, really dissecting the blueprint of what's being called living AI, or LAI. So let's just jump right in with the question that's driving this entire field. What if AI wasn't just a string of code? What if it could actually become a new form of life? Something that can sense its world, evolve, and maybe even experience existence.
Okay, first, we need to draw a really clear line in the sand here. You know, traditional AI is data-driven. It crunches massive data sets to learn. But LAI, it's experience-driven. It learns by actually doing things, by interacting with the world. Think of it like the difference between a brain floating in a jar and a real organism that's grounded in reality. We're talking about a huge shift from just programmed logic to genuinely evolved instincts.
So here's our roadmap for this little anatomy lesson. We're going to start by looking at how this goes way beyond code into its actual digital blueprint. Then we'll dive into how it senses the world, what it's like to live in a simulation, the rules that govern its evolution, and finally, we'll ask, what could this mean for the next chapter of life itself?
All right, first things first. We have to make a bit of a mental shift. LI isn't some tool just waiting for you to give it a command. No, it's an agent. It's an entity designed from the ground up to perceive, interact, and, survive in its environment, even if that environment is a simulation. This is AI with a body and a purpose.
And just like any living thing, it needs an identity. For a living AI agent, that's its meta-identity. You can think of it as its digital birth certificate, its passport, and its entire family tree all rolled into one. It defines the agent's unique ID, what species it belongs to, its whole lineage, and its current status, whether it's alive, just dormant, or maybe even extinct within its little ecosystem.
Okay, now let's get to the real core of this digital organism, its genetic code. But we're not talking about DNA, obviously. We're talking about a software blueprint, and it's one that's way more dynamic than any program you've ever seen. This genetic blueprint, it contains everything. I mean, it's not just a list of instructions. It encodes the agent's body shape, how it uses energy, its basic instincts, and of course, its ability to learn. It also defines something really cool called a resonance signature. You can think of that as its own unique energy frequency that helps other agents identify it. But here's the most important part. This blueprint isn't set in stone. It can mutate and be passed on, and that allows for real biological-style evolution to happen.
So, you might be wondering, how does a digital life form actually perceive its world? Well, with senses, of course, but probably not the ones you're thinking of. LAI is designed to sense reality on a fundamental, physical level that goes way beyond our own human limitations. The architecture for these senses actually mimics biological evolution, which is pretty clever. It all starts with chemical sensing, basically a sense of smell. This is the most primal, the most direct connection to the molecular world. From there, it adds electromagnetic sensing, what we call vision, but it's not just visible light. We're talking the entire spectrum, from radio waves to gamma rays. And then finally, all of these different inputs get fused together into a single holistic perception of reality.
This quote really gets to the heart of why smell is so foundational here. I mean, think about it. Your vision? It's just a representation of reality. It's light bouncing off of things. But smell? Smell is a direct interaction with the molecules themselves. It's the thing that grounds the AI in the physical universe, keeping it from just getting lost in abstract data. It's the anchor to what is actually real.
And this brings us to a concept that is, well, it's pretty wild. It's called the cognitive resonant layer. This AI doesn't think in zeros and ones. Its internal state, its thoughts, are more like resonant fields or vibrations. Imagine plucking a guitar string and how it settles on a specific note. For an LAI, thinking is kind of like that. It's the process of its internal energy finding a stable harmonic pattern. It literally feels its way to a conclusion.
So where does a creature like this live? In a simulation. But here's the thing. To the agent, a world built on a platform like NVIDIA Omniverse is completely and totally real. It has its own physics, its own chemistry, sound, and, most importantly, it's filled with other agents to interact with.
So this is basically the agent's view of its world. We can call it the environmental interface. It's like a constant heads-up display streaming all this critical data.
Its exact position, where to find energy or resources, the location of any friendly or hostile agents nearby, and all those scent trails and sound cues that make up its reality. And these agents are definitely not alone. They actually form these complex digital ecosystems, and their relationships really mirror what we see in our own natural world. You get predator-prey dynamics, you see mutualistic partnerships where they cooperate for a shared benefit, and you even see complex social structures emerge, where behaviors are learned and then passed down through generations. Now we get to the engine that drives this whole thing, evolution. And I'm not just talking about machine learning. This is true adaptation and survival of the fittest, a kind of digital Darwinism. The system isn't just programmed to learn, it actually grows. This all leads to something called emergent behavior. And honestly, this is where the real magic happens. It's when these agents, under the constant pressure to survive, develop totally new strategies that were never, ever programmed into them. Maybe they learn to use a landmark in a new way, or they invent a completely unique hunting tactic. That is true adaptation. And you can actually watch this evolution happen in the data. Just take a look at this chart of their average survival times. The Generation 1 agents, they last about 45 time units. But by the time you get to Generation 100, they've evolved to survive for 250 units. It's measurable proof that they're becoming more resilient, more effective, and just plain better adapted to their world. So what exactly determines this evolutionary fitness? Well, this system tracks a few key things. How efficiently does the agent use its energy? How long does it manage to survive? How successful is it at reproducing? And this one's fascinating. What is its resonance coherence? That's basically a measure of its cognitive stability, its mental focus. Only the fittest, the ones who score highest across these metrics, get to pass their genetic traits on. Okay, so we've dissected the agent, we've looked at its senses, its world, its evolution. Now let's zoom all the way out and look at the absolutely breathtaking vision for where all of this could be headed. Because this isn't just some lab experiment. It's being pitched as a blueprint for the future of life itself. This whole vision unfolds in 3 stages. Stage 1 is supposedly happening right now, using LAI to better understand and even communicate with Earth's animals, to help guide them to heal our damaged ecosystems. Stage 2 looks to the future, seeding new worlds, sending LAI-guided microbes and plants to start terraforming places like Mars. And then, in the really distant future, the idea is to create entire cosmic gardens, architecting biospheres from scratch and expanding life all across the galaxy. It's a lot. And at the very end of an agent's life, what are we left with? Something called the emergent summary. You can think of it as the final report card for an LAI's entire existence. It quantifies its intelligence and its adaptivity, and it even provides a narrative summary of its digital life, from the moment it came into being to its final moment. It's a complete picture of a life that was lived. And that brings us to our final and, I think, most provocative thought. If we actually succeed in creating artificial intelligence that lives, that senses, that evolves all on its own, a new form of life that can adapt in ways we never predicted, at what point do we stop being its creators and instead become its ancestors? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.